ladies and gentlemen, this interview is brought to you by Burn Up Coaching and Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self and the 21-day challenge. And if you are an entrepreneur or high achiever, you're ready to kick that plateau to the curb and get to your next level, succeed like never before, reignite your passion, your self-belief, the 21-day challenge might be that thing just for you to get to that next level. What we'll do is we'll break down your big picture goals into bite-sized steps so that you have it manageable in daily chunks and you don't beat yourself up when you don't do what you thought you would do. It'll be clear. You set 1 or 2 or max 3 priorities for a day. You accomplish those things, you get them done, and over the course of 21 days, you'll see yourself transform because you'll see yourself acknowledging yourself and celebrating and appreciating yourself for doing the most important things and getting it done. And I'll hold you accountable every single day to those bite-sized steps. We'll have daily progress reports, weekly deep dive calls to make sure that you're empowered and fired up about your goals and you're taking massive action. So if that sounds like a great fit for you, you're committed and interested to becoming your greatest possible self and achieving these dreams, send me a message, chris@beyourgps.com, or find me on Facebook, facebook.com/th3burns. Looking forward to it. Next is the iTunes review of the week, and it is by the one, the only Yvonne Larson, who is actually coming on today. She's coming on the marathon today. It's her birthday today, so I wanted to celebrate her because she's awesome, freaking possum. And Yvonne said about the 12-hour marathon and the show, passion, focus, and inspiring. I've met lots of people who say they are committed to transforming the world. This guy, what? Seriously, he is no joke. His weekly 12-hour marathons are packed with valuable, reliable, and practical tools and resources. He is meticulous about curating the best guests. He is like the Energizer Bunny. He keeps going and going and going. I'm proud and honored to know such an amazing man. So Yvonne, thank you so much for giving us that review. I appreciate you. We're excited to celebrate your birthday all day long today. And if you want to give us a review, give us feedback on how we're doing, how we can grow and improve the show, let us know. Go to beyourgps.com/iTunes or search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on the iTunes store, and you will find us. Or you can search Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self on Facebook and find us like that. Thank you in advance for doing that. Now, the man of the hour is Dr. Stephen Lewis, and he's going to bring the heat. We had an amazing conversation talking about some really, really great concepts about life and just philosophical wisdom and truths and powerful speaking and communication. It was so much fun. I'm super excited to have him on. So make sure you stick around till the end of this interview because I know it's going to be full of gold. I know you're going to get tons of wisdom. You're going to learn about yourself, your body, health, wellness, and being your greatest possible self. So stick around. Dr. Stephen Lewis, DC, has a long history of helping people achieve their optimal health by utilizing extensive but low-cost lab work. He stays current on the latest research pertaining to nutritional supplements and optimal health. Dr. Lewis has a unique perspective on alternative and complementary nutrition, from studying with numerous national leading alternative health experts. Dr. Lewis is passionate about educating people about hope for the future by enhancing the body's innate healing ability with nutrition. And Dr. Stephen is here with us today. Dr. Stephen, are you ready to rock the house?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Awesome. I love it. You're now live on Becoming Your Greatest Possible Self. Thank you so much for showing up today and being on with us and taking time out of your schedule to share with our audience so that we can grow into our greatest possible healthy selves. Thank you so much.
You bet. My pleasure.
Awesome, man. Awesome. So we're going to dive right into the theme of the day, which is our all-connected universe. So, Dr. Stephen, how has this concept of our universe is all connected? Last week, it was a universe of duality. This week is our all-connected universe, a universe of oneness. How has that impacted your life? How has it made a difference for you?
Well, I think, first of all, they teach us that in chiropractic college, that there's a universal intelligence, where one of the things, the failings in American healthcare, and that's a misnomer, but we become reductionist. Oh, you are a thyroid case. You are this, you are that. No, you are a whole, and you're connected to everybody else, and you're connected to the universe. I love the lady you just had on. She was absolutely awesome. And it's like, oh, well, I couldn't have said it that well, but that's what I try to do with my patients is get them connected to the spirit and their ability to love themselves. Because I don't care how unhealthy you are, if you don't love yourself and accept health,
Wow.
you're going to sabotage yourself. So yeah, we're all connected always.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I love it. I love it. Great insight. Thank you for answering that. And let's dive more into what you're working on today, a little bit more about yourself for anyone who is just hearing about you or connecting with you for the first time. Why don't you share a little bit about yourself?
Well, I was trained as a chiropractor, and of course, they teach us a lot of nutrition. And I always kind of would go off to the side. I like nutrition, nerve supply nutrition. Basically, the body needs two things to be healthy. You need no interference, and you need the nutrients to build and to physiologically be your best self. It's not really that hard. It's simple. You throw it in, ask the universe to bless it, and it just gets better and better. So I've seen people that died early because they didn't do, and they have the knowledge, but it's not what you know, it's what you do that gets you results. And I'm very passionate about trying to help people become better and love themselves more. And, they teach us I have to go to a lot of seminars. Most of them are by choice, but in the ones for license renewal, they says, never hug your patients. Everybody's so worried about sexual harassment. So I come back and I hug my patients,
Yes.
You've got to love them and to teach them to love themselves, to teach them that they're lovable and worthy of better things.
Wow. So I love how you took the training that you got and you're like, listen, it's not just about this surface level or, even the biological level understanding of the physics and the chemistry and what's happening. Rather, it's like, how do we impact a human being from a human being level of what it nourishes a soul, what nourishes a human being, what nourishes someone's heart and their love and their emotions. And so you really tapped into that.
Well, my favorite MD, he says, I love chiropractors because they touch you and they validate you as a human being. I said, well, you can be a chiropractor too. And he doesn't prescribe many drugs. He goes more into the natural stuff like I do. So you can practice it whether you're medical, chiropractic, osteopathic, or naturopathic. We're all trying to get people well. It's just the approach that you take.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So along that journey of becoming the chiropractor you are today and the wellness expert that you are today, what would you say were some of the biggest challenges along that journey to getting here?
Biggest challenges? I don't know. I heard Nicole talk about things and you've got to do the work. And I absolutely agree 100%, but it's like, I've never found it to be hard. It's like you show up, smile, do the work, but work can be fun. That's all your perception. Just show up and give good service. And, Janet, the smart one and the prettier one of the group here, she got us started on podcast. And we did radio shows for 2 or 3 years. And it's kind of morphed into a national thing. I don't know. I asked a person the other day, a couple of days ago, I said, you're from California. How come you can pick a Texan that has a real bad Texas drawl? And she says, you can tell you care. Well, I don't know how you can tell that out of a podcast. And she says, you have the knowledge, but it's because you care. It's like, okay, I got a lot of people from California. It's the mecca of health. And then they're coming to somebody that draws like I do.
Just reminding them that you can't judge a book by its cover.
I tell my kids, just show up and smile. It'll all be good.
Yep. I love it. So let's start diving into this wisdom about being healthy. What's the first thing we got to know about creating that life of health and wellness? Where would you start as a foundation for that?
To realize you cannot get enough nutrition out of your food and you have to supplement. And in supplements, they're not all created equal. And some people don't believe that. And it's like, well, great. You're taking all this. You're taking $500 worth of supplements a month. Let's do your lab work. And I do their lab work and they go, oh my God, it's not working, is it? Nope. Supplements are different, just like your crazy ex was different than the current person that you love and adore. Sorry. That's another Stevenism there.
I love it. So you're saying that no matter how much we ate or what we did, we would never be able to get the optimal nutrition that our body needs to thrive and be its best possible health self.
No, and it's very important to eat better, to eat cleaner. And Janet and I just did podcast of our own about the obesity epidemic and how it's linked to cancer and all that. But one of my favorite stories is I have this client that he's an organic farmer, and I treat organic farmers in 10, 15, 20 different states at any given time.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, I felt really great doing your stuff, but I quit 3 months ago and I feel like terrible. He said, why is it? I eat totally organic. And I said, did you read the book I told you to read? He says, no. And I said, I'm going to send you the book. Don't call me and waste my time until you've read the book like I told you to 2 years ago. He's like a little brother. So we kind of, joust when we speak. And he called back and says, oh my God, the world's so polluted. The polar bears have thyroid problems and osteoporosis. And, oh, we're getting DDT from Africa. I said, okay, you've read the book. And that's why you have to take supplements, because even though your food is organic, you don't know if it's 1 part per million or 16,000 parts per million of manganese, molybdenum, whatever.
Right.
And he says, okay, I got it. So he finally understood that organic is good. We have to change what we eat in America.
Right.
But to get toward that 100%, you have to get more and more nutrients in. They have to be the good supplements. And then you have to absorb them. You're not what you eat, you're what you absorb.
Wow. So tell us more about absorption and what people might be getting wrong about absorption and what we need to start shifting and correcting about it.
I'll try to keep this light and lively, but if you're eating grain and genetically modified food, you're killing the good bacteria in your intestines. You're killing the villi in there that have the ability to absorb if they're working correctly. We really are kind of in a toxic world. Janet and I have gone simple and gone more natural, and it's amazing how much energy you can have. That I really have more energy and better thought processes than people half my age. And I had that this morning. The lady says, wow, you're twice as old as me and you have a lot more energy. I said, and you can have that too. You just have to stick with it for a while. But yeah, you have to put it in. You have to heal the gut. You have to remove the toxins. You have to remove the bad organisms, which is usually an overgrowth of yeast. Those books were written before you were born. I don't know how old you are, but they were written a long time ago. You have to remove the harmful foods. Number one's grain. Wheat and dairy is horrible for you. Now, if it was raw dairy, that would be a different matter. But our Food and Drug Administration thinks that raw dairy is harmful to you, but they're the ones that approve all the drugs that kill everybody every year. But that's another story. Raw dairy is not bad. I grew up on it. Look at me.
Yes.
I know.
I love it. I love it. So the grains and the dairy, those are not good for you. And we need to make sure that we're absorbing the right nutrients, which is going to come from those organic fruits, veggies. What are some other mindset shifts that you think people need to have to really absorb the right nutrients?
Well, most of us don't have enough or don't have proper digestive enzymes. So it's better to eat a little bit of raw food. There's no one good diet that's perfect for everyone. I treat lots and lots of vegans. I'm more the keto, higher fat, lower protein, copious amounts of low glycemic vegetables, but not everybody needs to go keto. Now, it's, I think, best for the large majority of people, because you have to look at society and how we have been subject to lies for so long we begin to believe it. Butter's bad, fat's bad, that's wrong. Cholesterol's bad, that's real wrong. There's a lot of books written on that. Bones do a body, or milk does a body good in strengthening bones, that's wrong. The higher milk intake, the higher hip fracture. I read research, and you have to worry about who's sponsoring the research. And if it's sponsored by certain entities that have more money than they should, you kind of have to wonder, are they leaving certain things out? So, remove the harmful foods, put in good nutrients and digestive enzymes. You have to re-inoculate with the friendly microorganisms. Now, there was a Nobel Prize won over 100 years ago with the research on probiotics. Wow. And people are still not practicing that. Over 100 years ago.
Wow.
So probiotics are really incredible. Did you know that we literally have 10 times more microorganisms than we have cells in our body?
Wow.
So yeah, they control us in a big way. So you want to make sure they're good, friendly organisms. You
Mm,
know, brew your own probiotics. I sell a lot of them, but I
mm,
tell people do both. But you
wow.
can really get better. You can get healthy. You can feel good. People that have lost their hope, they have chronic fatigue. They have, I hear depression and anxiety and brain fog every day, multiple times. When I said, it's a gut problem, they said, no, it's in my head. I said, no, it's in your GI tract, maybe your thyroid or adrenals, but
Wow.
you can really get well. There's hope on the horizon if you'll just do it.
Wow. Yeah.
Just
And
show
so
up, show up.
one of the biggest things that you teach and share about is the lab tests as well. Tell us about those and you know what who that's accessible to, who should get it, who shouldn't get it, and how we can get started on that path and understanding that and maximizing the value of those.
Well, I think everybody should get it because that's what I believe in. Therefore, that's what I practice.
Yep.
Janet and I can do lab in 47 states.
Wow.
And, you know, we have a lot of people that are from different countries that ask, and it's like, well, no, I don't have any authority in Spain or in Iceland or in Central America. And it's funny how these podcasts get out to people. One person says, yes, we listen to podcasts in Iceland. I said, I'm so sorry I can't ship supplements to there. But I don't know. It's just I don't know. Lost my train of thought. Get me back on the track. I'm bad about going down rabbit trails.
So it's
all day.
the lab tests. Who should use them and why?
Oh, everybody.
Okay.
Janet and I do. Our comprehensive is 12 panels, where your average doctor will do 2, 3, maybe 4.
Wow.
And if you include hormones, which I think is a very smart thing to do, and we just decided, well, let's do it right at our cost. And that way people can afford to do it. And then they can afford to retest it. And then if you think you can't afford that, you need to go to Nicole Sylvester and let her change your consciousness where you can create more money. That's what
That's
you're all
right.
about.
That's
So,
right.
you really do get out of life what you put into it. And
Yep.
people say, no, I live a terrible life. You authored that life, but they don't want to take that responsibility. So I admire what you do. That's awesome.
Thank you.
The labs will tell you things. The parameters are from here to here. It's like, well, yeah, but that covers 95% of America. What is optimal functioning? Where most doctors do one test on the thyroid, we do 5. And sometimes you need to do more than that. About 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 people have a thyroid that's not quite functioning where it should, which can create lack of sex drive. I heard that one this morning. Lack of energy, anxiety attacks, constipation, my heart palpitations. And so we do a lot of lab. We do insulin. Many people, most people, if you're eating grains, you have insulin resistance, which can lead to metabolic syndrome, diabetes, which contributes to obesity and cancer. But I tell people it's simple. Just let me have it. That's my job. I'll figure it out. This is what you need to take. So I think everybody should do lab.
Yeah. Yeah, I love it. And I think it's so important to understand what we fuel our body with is literally, it's like, it's the fuel of how we create our reality. And if we're putting, you know, like dirt in our Ferrari engine, then we're going to get some not so great results. Rather,
Exactly.
if we're putting the nutrients that we're supposed to be getting in, and we know what's the blend, what's the fuel blend, what's the optimal racing fuel that we're supposed to put in this, and you know at what points in time in the day, and what nutrients and all that kind of stuff to create the Ferrari fuel and Ferrari performance, then that's what we're gonna get.
You know, that's very well put. Sometimes I use those analogies, and I had a guy come in yesterday, and he had prostate cancer that had metastasized to bone cancer, and they didn't give him long to live. And, you know, I do supplements. I'm a chiropractor. I don't treat diseases.
Right.
I put him on all sorts of supplements, and his PSA that was rapidly rising up to a 38 should be under a 4. It went down, 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 down. And it got down to a point something, less than a 1. the man's wife's, his bone loss has stopped. The doctor actually thinks it's getting better, and they're scratching their heads saying, what's going on?
Mm.
And I said, well, it's amazing what the body can do if it has the fuel to work with.
Mm.
And I'm not even treating that. I'm just throwing in the things specifically for him.
Wow.
And he feels great. He's 68. He went back to work feeling fine, smile on his face. Really, really great guy. So that's what makes it worthwhile here. I've never worried about the money. You just do the right job and everything else takes care of itself.
Wow. It's so powerful. I love it. I love it, man. So we get these tests, and then how do people know what's a quality supplement to start using? And like, they're going to go to you for the test. I'm sure you'll be able to walk them through. But for anyone who's still on the fence and not yet sure if they want to invest in the test and then the supplements, just tell us a little bit about that process and what they can expect.
Well, I just tell them you get the supplements from me. We only deal with the top tier companies. I prefer orthomolecular, although that's not all that we use. There's some good pure encapsulations and Zymogen and Biotics and Douglas Laboratories. There's a lot of good companies that they're much higher quality. They're more tested and better efficacy because efficacy matters. And so I tell people, I don't make money off the lab. I don't make money off my consultation. You just buy the supplements from me, and I'll help you figure out which ones and why and when to change and what to switch to. And that's all I do. I make it to where most people can afford to get well.
Wow. That's awesome. How do you think that impacts the community around you? Your mindset of like making it available for everyone and, making it affordable?
It's just like a lady that left a couple hours ago, and I put her on a very good, high quality 5-HTP that gives you serotonin. That some people say, that's the peace of God. I love this stuff. I may have to give it to my husband. And I said, you would be surprised at how many people buy that stuff and stir it into their husband's coffee and they don't know it. So if you imagine a happier spouse, what impact does that have on you? What impact does it have on the people that you're around? You come home happy and don't want to kick the dog because you are happy. So when you're happy and you're bringing somebody else's quality of life up, it impacts everybody you meet. I love it when Janet and I get on an elevator and, we're all supposed to be quiet in the elevator and nobody's smiling. By the time I get off, everybody's laughing. I take it as a personal challenge.
Right? Okay, doors closed. Let's go.
That's it.
I love it, man. So in terms of the brain fog and the thyroid, you mentioned a couple things that could be causing that. Educate us a little bit more on that and what might be causing, and some remedies that we can create and use.
Brain fog can be many different things, but most of the time we have an overgrowth of candida or yeast. And the yeast do something to interfere with the thiamine enzyme. So it's interfere with the thiaminase enzyme, and they stop you from absorbing thiamine. And that causes brain fog. So I put them on a fat-soluble thiamine called benfotiamine. And then there's so much there that the yeast can't absorb it all. And people say, I don't know what you did, but I can think clearly for the first time in years. And oh my God, my anxiety attacks went away.
Wow.
The thyroid, though, and 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 4 have a suboptimal thyroid. So my example to this lady this morning, and she was 32. I said, you're like on Interstate 20 going to Dallas, and you can't go but 45 miles an hour like that little old lady. She said, I feel like that's all I can go. But the thyroid, it needs iodine, but we fill the receptors with bromine, fluoride, and chloride or chlorine. And they take the receptor sites. And then you have to have B2 and B3, B6, folic acid, and B12 to convert these enzymes, to convert the hormones from T4 to T3. I tell people, you don't need to understand this. I understand it. We can fix it. But When you get people on the proper supplements, and again, I'm not diagnosing and I'm not treating, you put the right fuel in, and people call me and say, you put me on this and I feel great. Is this a fluke? I said, no, your thyroid's kicking in gear. Now you're going toward normal.
I love it.
I love it when they do that.
So when you are creating these wellness solutions for people, what are some of the biggest challenges that people have to taking on the regimen, or to, you know, believing that there's a solution, or actually, you know, following through and getting the results?
We've become a society that wants it instantly. And it's like, Janet got a text yesterday while we were at lunch, and the lady says, I'm so frustrated. I have to take 19 pills and it's been 2 weeks. And Janet says, go to your endocrinologist. She said, I've been to 7 of them. They don't work. And Janet texted back and said, give it more than 2 weeks. I mean, good Lord, this has been going on for years. And the challenges is getting people to love themselves enough to do it. Okay, you have a bad day. So what? Keep your courage, keep your faith. And that's why I like what Nicole said before I came up. Creating a habit. I don't like taking all these supplements. I don't, but I feel half my age. It's worth it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And Janet doesn't tell me what I spend on me. I don't care what she spends on her. And she says, well, you spend less than you do on that brand new pickup truck. And I said, well, you bought it. I don't know what you pay for it. So you have to be willing to invest. And it's great to get the spiritual and the mental, but unless you do the work, and we're still in a physical being, you have to do the physical as well.
Yeah.
And so the challenge is getting people to be willing to make a new habit. And I know you as a coach, you have that challenge with some people. It's like, you're right. You're 3 feet from gold, as the old book was. It's like, don't stop digging. Now you're just about to have a victory. So you have to encourage them.
Yeah. Yeah. What do you see as like support systems for people who aren't necessarily, you know, able to pick up the phone and call you and talk to you every day and say, hey, you know, today I'm feeling this way, or, you know, that kind of thing? What are some support systems that people can choose to put themselves on or go through that you've seen work?
Well, I tell people, learn to meditate, learn to pray, go to church. It has to be a positive church, not the ones that tell you all the negative things.
Fire and brimstone.
Yeah. It's like, you know, we do things for 2 reasons. We do things because we're moving away from pain, and we do things because we're moving toward pleasure. I'm more of the pleasure seeker. It's like, tell me what's good at the end. I'll go toward the goal. The carrot has to be gold plated for me to go after. You know, I have a Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis Facebook page, and people ask questions, and, you know, I'm still, you know, sometimes at 9:30 at 9, I'm still answering questions sometimes, and I'll start at about 6:30 in the morning. Frankly, I get tired sometimes, but that way people can put it on the Facebook, Shooting Straight with Dr. Lewis, and then other people will say, well, my solution was this. So I've created a little bit more of a support group there.
That's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. We could talk about that at the end as well to remind people. What would you say? You mentioned the meditation, you mentioned the going to church. What would you say you did along your journey to really start to love yourself? Was there a period in time where you didn't have that self-respect and self-care and self-love, or was it always instilled from you at a very early age?
Yeah, I did have weaknesses there. And, you know, my parents, I had a great childhood, just incredible. And I think, number one, my daddy died when I was 15, and that kind of pushed me to become more successful and learn how to make people healthy. But my mother always told us, you can be anything you want to be. You're wonderful, da, da, da. But yes, you know, I've had plenty of insecurities, but I use those insecurities to propel myself to become more successful, not to chase money, because success is a lot of things, including money, but certainly it's much more well-rounded than that. In chiropractic college, I found out how tough it was, and I got a book called The Power of Your Subconscious Mind by Joseph Murphy, and then I got into Catherine Ponder's. You know, that's a more of a biblical thing. You know, it's open your mind to prosperity, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Tony Robbins with his unlimited power and all of that. I've taken NLP courses, Silver Mind Control, and just goes on and on and on and on. You always have to feed this. And so I go back to saying, the Bible says, love your neighbor as thyself. So linguistically, what that means is you got to love yourself first.
Mm.
Oh, a lot of responsibility there, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So being able to do that personal development, you were inspired by your dad's passing early on to go out and help as many people as possible. And then you pursued that personal development career. For someone who hasn't had that natural innate ability to go after personal development and the drive for it and the vision and the why behind it, it seems like you had that very early on. What would you recommend to those people about cultivating that drive to work on themselves, to grow, to be better?
Divorce your negative friends and find positive friends, because they will bring you up. And if I'm the least positive person in the room, that's good for me, but I'm not going to drag them down. I want to lift them up also. And that's why, on the elevator, I get to be a little crazy, but be careful who you hang around. And some people are negative. I love the book Negaholics. That's an old book, but the people that need it the most won't read it. But don't surround yourself with negative people. There's so much positive good in the world. Go out and do something good for somebody, and try not to get caught doing it. I don't know. I read dozens of books every year. I go to all kinds of seminars, and it's like, it's not because I'm better than anybody else. It's because I did have those weaknesses, and I'm trying to develop, more of a positive attitude so I can help other people. But by helping other people, I bring myself up. So it is selfish.
Yeah. For the people who are more towards the end of their life, so to speak, and they're like resistant to doing the personal development or the work on themselves because they're like, what's the use? What would you say to those people?
Well, I tell Janet sometimes, and she's an incredible woman. I say, you're the best manipulator. I said, influencer I've ever met. And some people come in there negative and say, well, I don't mind having a heart attack and dying. And she says, well, what if you don't die and somebody's there wiping up your drool and cleaning you up and you don't die? She knows how to influence people. She's a natural influencer. She's incredible. And she's very sweet about it. I don't know. I just tell people, it's like, well, what if you only lived another 5 years, another 10 years, but it was healthy? What kind of blessing would that be that you still felt like reading Childcraft or reading some book to your grandkid? You got to find the need behind the need.
That's powerful. What was one of the most like shocking or inspiring or impressive cases of healing that you saw along your career?
Let's see if I can get through this one without crying. There's this sweet little couple that came into my office one time. Sweet, sweet elderly couple. She said, my husband has cancer. They give him it 2, maybe 3 months to live. Can you help? And I said, well, I don't treat cancer. She says, I know. And I took their small amount of lab work and says, well, geez, you're just incredibly low in this and this. Let's get you started here. And keep in mind, the man only had 2 or 3 months to live. And yes, I hugged him too. He got better and better and better and better. Now, I didn't treat cancer, didn't cure cancer. He still died from cancer, but I was doing a consultation, about 2.5 years later. And I could see through the window that the lady, the widow, was walking in. And I told my patient, I said, excuse me. And I went out there to tell her, because I'd seen the guy in the obituary that morning. And I said, I am so sorry to hear about his passing. And she says, no. He told me on his deathbed to come in, give you a hug and a kiss, and tell you thank you for the extra 2 years of healthy life.
Wow.
And it's not that I was the hero, he did the work. So an extra 2+ years, I think it's 27 months or something like that. What was that worth to everybody around him? That's one of my favorite stories, and I got through it without crying. But that's a pretty cool thing when you have the ability to inspire someone. And I worry about the people that don't get on board, but you always have those, and you just hug them and wish them well. And there's so many success stories; it's just incredible.
Hmm. What 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 would you say is what drives you moving forward to keep doing as much as you can, keep innovating your message and innovating with podcasts and getting on media opportunities? What is it that keeps you driving for that?
Because as I get older, time does not get slower; it goes in fast forward. And I'm
Yeah.
thinking, if I'm lucky, I have another. Well, I've lived 2/3 of my life. If I'm lucky, I've got another 20, 30 years left.
Right.
Maybe not. I want to do more. I want to make a bigger splash. I want to, build a bigger legacy. I want people to cry at my funeral, but there's going to be beer and whiskey. We're going to have a good time at my funeral. uh, I want to do more, and time speeds up. I don't know what the deal is with that, but you just want to do more, and so I work harder. And
Mm.
working harder is kind of a misnomer. It's really not hard. It's fun.
Right.
You don't have to work hard. Just do the action and have fun. I'm kind of a big fun seeker.
Yeah. What I hear as well is like it's not so much working harder, it's disciplining yourself to be in the service mode and having fun with that rather than focusing on I just want to relax or I just want to, like sit back and enjoy what I've already done and like appreciate that, which is important. And you're so busy making the difference that like you don't need to sit back and relax or sit back and need to recharge or rejuvenate as often because you're being filled up by serving others.
That's a good way of putting it. Janet got a little crazy 2 or 3 months ago, and she went and bought an RV. Uh, Although she put it in my name, but so now we can travel, and as long as we have a good cell phone and internet, we can still talk to people. We can still go over the labs and their suggestions. I was sitting in Jackson Hole, Wyoming about 3 months ago talking to people. And of course, they don't know I'm in Jackson Hole watching, the squirrel outside burying nuts for the winter.
Mhm.
And then we can go off. And we went to Yellowstone in South Dakota. And we came back through and spent the night in Valentine, Nebraska. And I had some more consultations. Nobody knows Valentine, Nebraska until it's Valentine's Day, and they'll say, "Oh, well, this," and they'll always mention Valentine, Nebraska during Valentine's Day, and it's like, "Oh, yeah, I'll probably never go there again." But we're out there having fun and helping people and seeing new sights. So that's Janet's dream, and I have to admit, she dreams a little bigger than me, and I love it.
Mm. Wow. That's awesome. And then as far as social media, podcasts, how has that been for you and how do you team up with Janet to make sure that you're both in your strengths and in your element and zones of genius, so to speak?
I'm a dinosaur, technological dinosaur, and I kind of like it there. I have to admit it. She's the one that got me on podcast, and again, we'd done radio shows, for 2 or 3 years, and she does all the behind the scenes things I don't understand. And I told her one time, I said, I really appreciate you being so patient and so gentle, technologically dragging me into the 20th century. She said, "Stephen, it's the 21st." She is, in most cases, much more intelligent than me. And I'm educated, and she doesn't understand. There's a difference between education and intelligence. She's brilliant, and she's much prettier to look at than I am. But um, people try to give me credit, and I don't really try to take a lot of credit. I said, behind every successful man is a equally smart and a very, very tired woman, and that would be Janet.
Yep. Yep. I love it, man. So for people who I found that for me, when people have a purpose, when they have a cause, they're willing to go above and beyond in terms of their energy, exertion, getting uncomfortable, doing whatever it takes as long as it takes. And it sounds like, for you, it doesn't even seem like hard work because you're having fun, you're helping people, you're serving, you're making a difference. So for people who haven't yet discovered that purpose, is there anything like that you've come across in your, supporting these people get back into better health and a better way of life, like that you found works in terms of rediscovering a passion for life or a purpose for life or a will to live?
I tell people, I had one lady says, I'm 40 and I don't know what I want to do. I said, the problem is you've never done anything. Get out and find out what you don't want to do, and you're eventually going to find out what you do want to do. And people many times are paralyzed by fear and doubt. And I don't understand that. There's a scripture says, God didn't give you a spirit of fear. And people say, well, what do you do when you get fear? I said, well, if it's not from God, it must be from the devil. I give him a cold beer and I take one too, and I don't worry about it. But so I tell them to do something. I think be of service is a good thing in a lot of different ways. There's so many hurting people, and if you lift them up, then you're uplifted too. One of the things I try to tell people is, nothing real can be threatened. Nothing unreal exists. And therein lies the peace of God. Wow. And they scratch their head and say, what did he just say? Life's too short. You need to have fun. You need to feel full in your heart. And physically, I think good nutrients will pull that off faster, because a lot of what we feel in our head, our chronic fatigue, our stress, anxiety, depression, our hormonal imbalance, that's real fixable. Your body wants to be healthy. You just have to give it the fuel for the Ferrari.
Yeah. And a lot of the thoughts about, man, I feel like crap, I feel tired, which perpetuates the downward cycle of negativity, that comes from not having the right nutrients.
Yeah, you can break the cycle there, and you can actually create a better reality by speaking, fake it till you make it. Right. I mentioned the book Negaholics. There's another one called Biology of Belief. It's an incredible book about what you think is what you create. And when I tell people, okay, you've got a horrible life, you created that, they get angry. And, I told one person, I said, you've had 5 wives. Have you ever figured out what the common denominator is? You are the author of your life. Yes. If it's not healthy and happy, say something different, do something different, find somebody that can build you up, bring you forth. That's why I love what you do. It's like, man, this is pretty awesome what you're pulling off. Technologically, I'm not that smart, but I'll show up and smile.
Just stay in your genius zone. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, I read all the research, I'll kick back and have a cold beer while I'm helping y'all.
Wow, you know how to read the research, extrapolate the data. That's your genius.
Well, that's fun.
That's fun. Exactly. I love it. So, when you're communicating with people's bodies as a chiropractor, what is it that you've learned through that science, as understanding the body, communicating the body? Where does the body want to go? What's the position, the structure that the body wants to be in? Like, what are some big lessons that you've learned through that process of growth and wisdom and mastery?
The body always wants to get well, and one of the big lessons is, one of the scientific developers of chiropractic. Of course, they've been doing bone setting for 5,000 years, but he said if you hit them in the butt with a shovel, half of them would get well, because it would take that force and shift the spine and unpinch the nerves. And then I had a friend one time that he said, oh, I found this new technique and it's excellent, it's incredible. And he was just incredibly enthusiastic about it. Got some super great results because he had enthusiastic expectations.
Yes.
And he was telling me about it, and I took his x-ray and I flipped it over. I said, you've been looking at it backwards and hitting them on the wrong side, adjusting that bone. And they were still getting well because he had positive expectations.
Wow.
You go to 7 different medical doctors, they may prescribe 7 different drugs, but their intent is what helps you.
Yeah, and that's so important to choose the right person to facilitate who are you becoming, like, because of this work, because of seeing this doctor, this practitioner, whatever it might be, like, what is possible, what kind of hope, what kind of options, what kind of life are they painting, what kind of a picture are they painting in your mind. That's why it's so essential to not tolerate or settle for a doctor or a medical practitioner who doesn't make you feel like, man, every time I walk out of there, I feel like there's hope, there's inspiration, I'm at least moving towards a better direction. That's why, I love talking to you, and I'm totally going to introduce my parents to you because they live in Texas too, and I'm like, yes.
Well, I get people from all over the country, so tell them to come on down. I'll give them a hug too. So
yes.
Yeah, even the medical doctors that they have their hands tied a lot by the insurance companies. Their intentions are good. I've never met one that didn't have good intentions, but use your discerning spirit. If you do feel better and you feel like he or she really, really cares, you're in good shape. But people say, well, other doctor said this. I said, did you feel like they really cared? And they said, yes. I said, don't ask my opinion. You're good.
Wow. That's powerful. Powerful. I love it. I love it. What work would you say are you doing on yourself to become your greatest possible self these days?
I read inspirational things. I read things that help to build up any imperfections or any weaknesses that I may have. Like what I just said, nothing real can be threatened, nothing unreal exists. It's like, okay, well, I have no reason to be fearful. Okay, we're good. I joke a lot. People say, but I'm so full of fear, and I know it's Satan. Give him a cold beer. Get off that. I don't tolerate a lot of negativity. It's like, you want to do that, that's fine. Well, I had a secretary one time, a wonderful, wonderful woman, but she was very negative, and that's based on past experiences.
Right.
And I took her outside. I opened the door. I said, here's a hook right here outside the office. Put your negativity there. Don't bring it in the office. Pick it up on your way home. Pattern interrupt. She got great after that. She felt so good because she realized she could be in control of that. And it's something simple when you interrupt that pattern of negativity. And I do interrupt the pattern nutritionally quite a bit.
Yeah. And that's the neurolinguistic programming that you're talking about. And I know we talked about that before on our call. And I think one of the most awesome things is laughter and joking is a pattern interrupt, right? Because like you change people's state, you change how they're feeling, their emotions, you change the cycle, the perpetual cycle of whatever kind of thinking that got them there, you interrupt it and create a new perspective to see things from.
Then you step off to the side and say, wow, what are we going to do about that? And they realize, ooh, all that anger bypassed you. I love doing that. It's really, really funny. And I love grumpy people. You just have to go through a couple extra layers of crust because they're really sweet. You just have to, I take it as a challenge.
I love it. I love it. There's so much play, and like, you're playing the game of life to see what you can create. What's the next thing God or life is going to bring to me that I get to, play with and have fun with and be able to do my life's work in their life and, just do my best, knowing that if they're open to it, they're going to receive it. If they're not, then like you said, just give them a hug and wish them best on their way so that they, at least find whatever they're looking for at the next place, the next stop, whatever that next teacher or lesson is in life.
Right. That's very well put. I tell people, sooner or later, you're going to have to live with the consequences of your doubt, or you're going to have to live with the potential of your faith. What's it going to be?
Wow.
Yeah. And when they say, well, I don't know about that supplement, I said, how were you doing before you came to me? They said, okay, I'll take it. Don't live with potential of your doubt. It's not a good place.
Stay in the faith zone. Oh my gosh, I love it. So as far as like the final words of wisdom, what would you say to be in our optimal wellness? If we haven't covered it yet, let's go there. Or if you've already shared it, let's recap and make sure we really drive it home.
I would say get your lab work, because the lab says a lot of things if you look at it differently in a functional, nutritional sort of way. I look at people and say, well, that and that means this, and this means this. And look, every road is pointing to Rome. And I say, you don't really feel as good as you look. You're faking it. And then some of them start crying. I said, you're safe here, but I understand how you feel and you're hiding it. And they said, really, I can get better? Absolutely, you can. So I would say, take the step. If it feels good in your heart and your intuition and your gut feeling, stick with the train.
Yeah. Man, that's good. That's good. Like it's just trust that next step. If there's a source of inspiration, especially for anyone listening or watching, if you found value out of this, if you've resonated with it, if you're like, I really do have some room to grow in terms of my own personal wellness and my health and my energy, my vitality. I know that sometimes I don't eat the best things, or there's room to grow in how I feel about myself, or if I love myself, if I appreciate myself, if I feel like I'm living my best life. Start here, start at the nutrient and the biology level, and make sure that your body is running at the optimum fuel so that you can show up as your healthiest self and go out there, kick butt, take names, serve, living your purpose. And when at the end of your life, when you look back, at least you can say, hey, whenever I made that decision to optimize my health and turn things around, or really take it to the next level in terms of my fulfillment and my joy and my feeling of wellness, then you'll look back and you'll say, man, that was a really, really great decision.
Yes. A life well lived is probably the best thing you can do.
Yeah. Yeah. And well lived means, taking the right actions, supplementing yourself with the right nutrients and supplements and everything that you need to optimize your health and wellness, as well as, living in your purpose, living as a good human being, showing up in service, showing up, developing your gifts and your talents and your abilities, owning your mastery, like one step at a time, mastering the basics of whatever it is in your life that you've been challenged with, whatever you've been struggling with. Just take it one day and one step at a time, and eventually you'll be able to break through it.
I think there's actually a resurgence where people are beginning to realize this.
Yeah.
I think I see that. It's like,
yes.
There's more people wanting to live their best life.
Yeah.
Or at least that's my experience.
That's what you see, and that's the story. You're sticking to it.
That's it.
Awesome. Well, Dr. Stephen, how can people stay in contact and communication and connected to you, and what do we want them to do next?
Well, there's greenwisdomhealth.com.
Okay.
You can go on the website and do everything you need to do there. If you're interested in finding out what's going on, you can fill out a health survey. I'm usually the one that calls you when you fill out a health survey. Mm-hmm. Probably 90% of the time it's me, because Janet really is busier than me. I try to give good service. So, I'll talk to you, or if you're not there, I'll give a message based on what you said on the survey. You would benefit from this health panel. I'll tell you how to get it. So greenwisdomhealth.com will tell you anything you need to know. If you want to call us, it's 903-663-1008. My email is janet@greenwisdomhealth. And there's a lot of women that think she's the big buffer between them and me. And it's like, no, that is my email. We share everything. So just email Janet. I'm the one that's going to answer it most of the
time. She's the gatekeeper.
Yeah, bless her heart. She has a pretty big job keeping me between the lines. So.
She's the gatekeeper of you in your own playpen.
Yeah, a pig pen. Sometimes you're right. Yeah, I call her my handler with the capital H.
I love it. Well, we will definitely stay connected with you, Dr. Lewis, and we go to greenwisdomhealth.com to do the survey, to find out more, to learn more about the podcast, or we can call 903-663-1008 to get a hold of either you or Janet and really get that expertise, get that guidance in our life to be able to optimize our nutrition. And I know I'm going to be investing in you guys and your services and recommending my family go there, because my dad is currently, thriving in his own health journey. So right. I want him to continue to do that and continue growing. And my mom, my sister too. I want my whole family to have that optimum nutrition and, continue to expand their awareness of why they feel the way that they do and how to live a better life, a more fulfilling life, to put more tread on their tires, so to speak, of life and keep going as far as they possibly can.
Yeah, more tread just means you can go faster and have more fun. So I like that. I've never heard that analogy. That's good.
I love it. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for coming on, Stephen. We appreciate you, and we hope you have the best day ever, brother.
Thank you very much. I appreciate what you do.
Awesome. Thanks. We'll see you soon.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.